Just me and the boys. Hey guys, welcome to the video I finally decided to make. It took a while, a lot longer than I anticipated, of me going through the 35mm films that I found on OfferUp. And just wanted to show everyone what I got and what I discovered and pictures. So let's go. So I got my tea. Let's get started. I have them labeled in my notebook as reel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because that's how I've placed them on the shelf, but reel 1 and 2 and 3 doesn't really mean anything. It's just a numbering system for myself so that I can keep everything kind of in order. So the first reel that I looked at was I'm going to assume an Eastman color print from 1979, and it was a reel that was a Paramount Upcoming Releases 1979 preview reel. I'm assuming it's for exhibitors or a trade show possibly, where they were kind of advertising, okay, here's all the different films we're going to be releasing this year, and it has like different sections, like they say Christmas, so what films will be coming out around Christmas time, what films will be coming around Easter, and so there's a lot of fun titles, some films I've never even heard of, and it's Eastman Safety film. It says it's a Generation Zero print, and it has Dolby stereo sound. It's very faded, and some of the films that are featured on this reel are American Gigolo, Prophecy, Hurricane, Floodline, Star Trek The Motion Picture, and North Dallas 40, Escape from Alcatraz, Starting Over. Those are all the films that they mention and show. It's just stills of these films. There's not really clips, and there's a lot of pew 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 motion graphics. The second reel that I looked at was an LPP, low fade positive print, 1986 Eastman Kodak excerpt of The King and I. It was an excerpt of a musical number from the film called I Whistle a Happy Tune, and I'm assuming it was a color test from a lab. So The King and I, was a 1956 American musical made by 20th Century Fox, starring Deborah Kerr and Yul Brynner. I've never seen it, but it's a really beautiful print. So I'm gonna group these two reels together. They're separate reels, they're technically part of the same film. Head says it's on ACVA stock. I think maybe that's the wrong head for the print. It doesn't really say on the print what stock it's from. It's a 1952 film called Montana Belle, which was filmed in 1952 in True Color, which was a color process done by Republic Pictures, and it's a Western, and it's starring Jane Russell, which really helped me identify it pretty quickly. She's very unique, so I was like, that's Jane Russell. It was just a matter of trying to figure out what kind of genre it looked like from the couple frames, and then kind of comparing the film on my computer to the frames I had in front of me. And so the first one I looked at was an excerpt and some scenes kind of before and after but it was mainly a musical number that she was singing and performing called The Gilded Lily. And it's in mono sound and again, very faded. And then there's a second reel, which I didn't know was connected to that reel or that was from the same film, is reel 3 out of 4. I estimated it's roughly 56 minutes into the film, and there's no head or tail on the film at all. So I hadn't really been familiar with True Color before this, and I know that different studios had their own color processes, but it apparently does not look good today. So DuPont supplied the stock for True Color's 3-color process, and but that was between 1949 and 53. So prints after 1953, so this print's 52. Eastman Color and True Color are pretty notorious for both fading, and DuPont is pretty notorious for vinegar prints. So those are all bad combination. So one of the coolest reels I got was it's one entire reel, reel 4. It's from a Technicolor adventure film called The Three Musketeers with Gene Kelly, Lana Turner, June Allison, and Van Heflin. I really thought that it was the pirate at first because I was like, what other film does he dress in this way? And I was like, oh, The Three Musketeers. I think it's LPP, and it doesn't say, but it kind of falls into the years that LPP was first starting to kind of be used frequently. It's from 1981. So the reel has really dark contrast, and it was really kind of hard to photograph some of the frames and kind of like show that it was Gene Kelly. But I got some pretty good shots from it. I talked to one of my friends about where he kind of thought the origin of this print came from, and he said that it was probably a lab test in what they call a light test, which is the best light average of what the printer will look best. And so they dial it in and then they make a answer print. And he said that the print I have kind of looks like a badly faded negative, and that because I have a lot of reels that look like they're from lab tests, most likely whoever got a lot of these reels dug out of the dumpsters at Deluxe, and so that's why I have all these reels, which I think is pretty funny because I would totally dig out of the dumpster at Deluxe. So it's totally runnable, very beautiful, and I really want to play it. I think when I'm able to travel again to Portland, I'll bring a bunch of these reels and I'll run it on my friend's projector. So the 5th reel that I looked at is a 60-second promo for a film called Gambling House, and it's just a trailer, and it is a 1951 RKO film, American crime film, and it stars Victor Mature and Terry Moore and William Bendix. And this is probably the oldest trailer I've ever owned, which is really exciting, and I really want to watch it. It's in such good condition, which is really surprising. It's mono sound and acetate. It's interesting because the date code for the trailer is 1959, which is, like 8 years after the film was originally released, so I don't know if this was a reissue and they were rerunning it in theaters, or if it was for television, because I know major networks had 35mm capabilities. So the 7th reel that I looked at is not really a film at all. It's a feature presentation snipe. It's a Disney feature presentation snipe. It's from 1990 and it's an LPP. It says so on the print. So, it's really good quality. There isn't a lot of, the only thing is that someone cut it or spliced it. And so there's no countdown before that, like there's no Academy or SMPTE leader, and then there's also no tail at the end. So someone just really cut it right off of the film and I guess just left it at a theater maybe, and someone got it. I'm not really sure. So I'm kind of going to group some of these rest of these films or reels together because I didn't really take a lot of pictures of them. So I have a reel of the Jolson story. It says dupe number 3. I haven't looked at it extensively, so I haven't taken any pictures of it. Then I have an excerpt from Escape from Planet of the Apes from 1971. It looks like a courtroom scene. I know it's not the courtroom scene that everyone talks about, but it's again a small excerpt that doesn't really look like it was attached to a film. It looks like another lab test. And I'm pretty sure it's LPP as well. It's from 1985. I have another reel that I didn't write down because it was a lot more somewhat self-explanatory than the others. So I got one of these films in a canister from Kodak. I have a lot of those canisters, and it definitely is not a full reel, but I got it in the canister, and it just says Boy on a Dolphin, unused footage. Boy on a Dolphin is a film from 20th Century Fox from 1957 with Alan Ladd, Sophia Loren, and Clifton Webb. It's a film shot in Greece. And it came with this ticket, which is from a lab. It just says Boy Dolphin, it says flat, so it's aspect ratio that it's from 20th Century Fox Films Corporation. The order date on it, which was 12/04/1986, and what reel number it was, what release print number it was, and then it says color by deluxe, and then on the back it has like information about the job, which was not put on there. And I'm really interested to know what they mean by unused footage, and I'm going to assume it's a lab test. At first I was like, is this unused footage that wasn't in the final print? But that doesn't really make sense because the film came out in 57, so why would they have that? But it's in the film. I found the exact scene that I have in the film. It looks really beautiful, like the color's really beautiful, and it's just in really good condition, which is really nice. I would love to run it just as a solo print to run through the projector, because I just want to see them run again. And like I said, they're all in pretty good condition to be run. Another honorable mention is I have it right here, is a trailer of The Others from 2001, the Nicole Kidman film from Dimension Films. I actually had never heard of this film. I honestly just looked up Dimension Films released in 2001, and then I was like, it looks like the first frame of the reel I have, so I think that's it. I was like, I think it's a horror film. The last honorable mention that I haven't looked at yet, which is ironic because it's the only film that came on a shipping reel or house reel, is this big hunk. This is reel 5 of a film called Darby O'Gill and the Little People, which was an American fantasy film released by Walt Disney Productions from 1959. It has Sean Connery in it, which is the only cast member that I could recognize from it. A lot of the cast is Irish or English, and it takes place in Ireland. And from what I saw briefly of the frames that I looked at, it's very faded. So I'm gonna assume it's Eastman color. And I don't know the exact date code on it, but I'm going to assume it's 1959. Doesn't look like a lab test. It looks like a reel that was actually run, especially since it was on a shipping reel. And the thing I love about this reel is that it is on a 20th Century Fox reel, which you can barely see because of the light. But I have a lot of plastic shipping reel parts that just because they have the names of the studio on them, which is probably the dorkiest thing I've ever admitted to. So going through these films has been really educational for me because it kind of refreshes my brain on a lot of the different film stocks and the lab workflows and different types of sound. And so it was a really good refresher for me, and of course I'm still learning. So, if anyone has any other kind of information that they think is important that maybe that I got incorrect or that I'm missing for some of these films, feel free to contact me. And I love to learn more all the time. And that's why I do this kind of stuff. And because it's fucking cool.